I presume you're here in order to learn of Magecraft. I'll have you know, there's no room for the weak-willed in this course, and despite your best efforts, the sorcery of our time is but a fraction of what it once was in the Age of Gods. Much of the craft is established through pedigree, and the culture of mages is riddled with deception and moral depravity. That said, if you insist, I shall do my best to educate you in this miserable, yet fascinating world. In our previous lesson, I covered the art of golemancy and its original goal of recreating God's miracle of Adam. This time, I reached out to students for a new topic and have chosen to revisit the clock tower's internal politics. Specifically, I wish to elaborate on its 12 departments and the lords who preside over them. Obviously, the clock tower in London is where mages go to study their craft. It has a rigid academic and political structure. Beyond its 3 competing factions, there are 12 departments, or faculties, each specializing in a different school of magecraft. Technically, there are 13 departments if you include the Faculty of Policies, which is more of a governing body than a topic of study. The 12 departments are presided over by 12 distinct lords, the heirs to mage families who aided the clock tower's initial construction. Some offered land, while others provided funding. Since the year 500 AD, the head of each family inherited the title of lord. These lords bear the collective burden of maintaining mystery in our current age. As far as the Mages Association is concerned, they are viewed as the rulers of Magecraft itself, though that comes off as arrogant to other branches of the association, as well as foreign mages. To their credit, each lord also possesses what we call a supreme mystic code. These symbols of power earn their reputation in both fame and practical use, though few of them are actually documented. Academically speaking, the 12 lords are like deans of their respective departments. They handle clerical matters, like managing funds, facilities, staff, and curriculum. I suppose the description isn't entirely accurate, as there are more than 12 deans, and not all of them are lords. This is because certain secondary studies, like the Department of Summoning, also have deans. In some cases, department lords may appoint proxy deans to handle their duties. Doing so can free up a lord to focus on more judicial matters. The most important decisions in the clock tower are made through a gathering of lords called the Grand Roll. Attempting to imitate the xians of China's summit court, the lords meet in secrecy to debate and vote upon critical policies. Said meetings are held in the heart of Albion, the spiritual tomb found deep beneath the clock tower. This venue, surging with mana, is ideal for preventing outside interference. Once a grand roll commences, none can leave nor enter. In the past, grand rolls have weighed in on the reallocation of assigned departments, along with business ventures that intersect department bounds. They can be held without the entire ensemble of lords, with 5 being the average attendance. Even so, this ritual gathering has fallen out of favor, with many of the modern lords prioritizing their privacy. So just who are these lords? Let us start our exploration close to home with the melloi family. Prior to his demise in the Fourth Holy Grail War, Cainith Melloi Archibald hailed over the Department of Minology. Of the mellois and their talented branch families, young Cainith rose as a magical prodigy, earning the rank of Pride in his teenage years, and being the youngest to attain the rank of Brand. He inherited the melloi magic crest and took over as Lord of Mineralogy while offering valuable lectures for the Department of Spiritual Evocation. His family's supreme mystic code was a set of 3 mana reactors procured from an ancient clump of ether. Long ago, after it took the shape of a fairy, 6 competing mages split the clump into 6 pieces, only 3 of which have been recovered. Cainith used the reactors to power his hotel workshop during the war, only to lose them with its collapse. Favoring his own artistry, Cainith chose to supplant the reactors with volumen hydrargyrum, which was passed on after his death. The matter of Cainith's succession was a total mess. Much of the melloi's treasures and knowledge were raided by thieves or auctioned off to other families. Ironically, his legacy survived through his least impressive student, Waver Velvet, who compiled his lessons into a tome called Lord Cainith's Encyclopedia of Arcane Secrets. Waver's efforts would be repaid when granted the chance to inherit the melloi lordship, despite not having any blood relations with the family. I suppose you could say he was forced into it, as penance for stealing Cainith's summoning catalyst for the war. In terms of lineage, Waver was unimpressive, far from nobility. However, he had an uncanny talent for describing and teaching Magecraft principles that he himself could not master. This made him an ideal candidate for Elmaloy's true successor, Rhinus Elmaloi Archisword. While she will one day carry on the family's title, Rhinus's youth and inexperience have her relying on Waver to fill in until she comes of age. Regardless, some would say the Elmaloys fell from grace. In the aftermath of Cainith's death, the family lost its claim to mineralogy. Instead, a grand role decided the Elmaloys would take over the department of modern Magecraft. Many at the Clock Tower consider this department inferior, stubbornly refusing to adapt to changing times. However, such a department was perfect for Waver, who instructed most of his classes personally. After the Elmaloi family lost control over mineralogy, the department was seized by the Meluastias, now headed by the mage Karmaglyph Meluastia Deluk. He happens to be the only lord in the Clock Tower presiding over two departments simultaneously, but is primarily interested in his department of Archaeology. This is because most of Karmaglyph's talents come from channeling ancient treasures. While artifacts possess a strong mystery on their own, he uses phantasm overload to push them even further, though it does cause artifacts to crumble to ash if overloaded too harshly. The family's supreme mystic code is called Gemini, Denied Uniqueness, and is a portable machine capable of recreating objects with mystery and blood. Consider it a more lasting, thorough version of projection Magecraft. In line with mineralogy, Karmaglyph is adept at jewel Magecraft and has a talent called Alteration that lets him change the composition of matter. Overall, maintaining two departments isn't easy. Archaeology in particular requires exorbitant funding. He stepped up as lord in an attempt to clear the family's debts. Even though the Meluastia family falls into the Clock Tower's neutral faction, his own actions have drawn ire from peers and rival factions. You should also be familiar with Marisbury Animisphere, lord of the department of Astromancy. This umbrella term refers to both superstitious astrology and the more scientific study of planets. Each has its merits when utilized for Magecraft. One of Astromancy's strongest applications is predicting the future by observing the orientation of stars. Marisbury's greatest achievement is the Chaldea Security Organization, which operates to predict the future and protect the human order. What that protection actually looks like is a complete mystery, as Marisbury executed himself to avoid revealing Chaldea's true purpose. Our current knowledge suggests he was predicting our future through an alien world stored in Chaldea's headquarters. His daughter Olga took over the family, only to suffer her own cruel fate in other worlds. The Department of Botany is also known as the Department of Witchcraft. At the moment, it specializes in pharmaceuticals, especially anti-aging serums that mages crave. Botany's lord is from the Archaeology family, who descended from soot witches during the Industrial Revolution. In the past, they worked with Henry Jekyll to develop the miracle elixir that transformed him into Mr. Hyde. In modern times, Da Vinci has sought their aid to mass-produce healing scrolls. One might say the Archaeology family is quite extracurricular, involving themselves with both television broadcasting and military service. Lord Archaeology rarely appears in public, but their daughter, May Riddell Archaeology, is expected to inherit the title of Lord. Given her lineage, it's not surprising to know that May used to play with Alice Kuonji as children. Her spells seem to have a fantastical origin, much like Alice's ploys. Based on its name, one might think the Department of Lore studies mythology. However, most legends are taught throughout the entirety of the Clock Tower, being relevant to most forms of mystery. No, more specifically, lore refers to unspeakable myths, taboos that predate humanity altogether. There are very few who engage with this department, which collects and investigates otherworldly artifacts that pose a tremendous threat to humans. The only mage crazy enough to head this department is Lord Brishisan, who's been alive for the past 2,000 years. He was actually a follower of Solomon, king of Magecraft, and went on to be one of the Mages Association's original founders. Since its construction, he's also been the clock tower's overall director. To clarify, Brishisan's not a dead apostle, but has been described as a vampire knockoff due to his immortality. He and Zelrech go way back to their days with Solomon. Hardly anyone knows his face anymore, but he's been known to explore Earth in search of rarities. He was the only survivor of an expedition to South America where Ort was first discovered. It is by his assertion that nobody ever approached Ort's resting place. Oddly, with people being alive for as long as the clock tower itself, one would expect their records to be pristine. However, in the case of Zoology, the department's founders are unknown. Presently, Zoology is managed by a lord from the Gaius Link family, which swears its unquestioning fealty to the larger melloi faction. Most of the clock tower's faculties can be referred to by their founder's name, but Zoology settles for describing its area of study, which includes animals, phantasmal species, and shape-shifting magecraft. Then we have the Department of Creation, managed by Inorai Valualetta Atraholm of the Democratic faction. She is a key believer in the idea that a mage's talents should be valued more than the quality of their bloodline. Her department concerns itself with the idea of magecraft as a form of art, the creation of unique and beautiful things. Such creations include dolls, puppets, and automata. Mages with this mindset inspire projects like the Twin Towers of Iselma, which were built in an effort to create the most beautiful person. Art as a broad concept is compatible with many spells and approaches, making the department about concepts more than specific techniques. Back when Toko Aozaki studied at the clock tower, Inorai was her instructor, as well as the one to put a ceiling designation on her. This indicates how Inorai is a very selfish mage, doing whatever it takes to advance her own research. She rarely reveals the fruits of her labor, but in one incident, she used magecraft to spill large amounts of sand from a very tiny bag. The Department of Curses, or Jigmarie, is named for the family that presides over it to this day. Curses are self-explanatory, though the study also expands to topics like necromancy. Due to a bias within the clock tower that curses are shameful and unscholarly, this department has failed to produce the same results seen in the Middle East. Nonetheless, it has pushed out famous alumni such as Makiri Zolgan, though I hesitantly call that an accolade. Quite obscure is the Department of Individual Fundamentals. It too gains its subtitle, Solonea, from its founding family and current lord. Rather than looking externally for mystery, mages of this department explore themselves as a basis for spells. This can occasionally involve cellular research, though it's dangerous, given the chance that a mage may unintentionally awaken to their origin and fall victim to it. Regrettably, Lord Solonea has yet to appear in any faculty photos. At the core of study at the clock tower is General Fundamentals. This department was founded by the Misteel family, but has since passed ownership over to McDonnell Trembelio Elrod of the Democratic faction. Mages begin in general fundamentals before branching out into more specific studies. It's fitting because, like Inorai, McDonnell believes in individual achievement and freedom of choice. He's much older than he looks, old enough to have had 6 wives and 13 children. His muscular build contrasts his desire for pacifism and diplomacy. That's not to say he's weak by any means. In fact, McDonnell holds the clock tower record for highest ode capacity. Both in and out of the clock tower, he and the rest of his family have a strong influence in politics. The last of the 12 main departments I have to discuss is spiritual evocation. While curses have a tie to necromancy, this is where the practice truly shines. Basically, it's a department for summoning and controlling spirits. Spiritual surgery, as practiced by Kirei Kotomine, is also taught here. The department's lord is Ruflius Nuada Rei Ulifis, a stubborn old man from the aristocratic faction. Opposite the Democrats, Ruflius prioritizes mage nobility over all else. Ironically, he's not a Eulifis by blood, but rather adopted from the Nuada branch family to serve as department head. I suppose this was still an aristocratic move, with one noble family adopting from another. Certain mage families have what's called a Grand Order, not to be confused with Marisbury's pursuits in Chaldea. It's essentially a family's mission embedded into their magic crest. Inheritors of the crest are forbidden from killing themselves until the order is completed. For Ruflius, he inherited a particularly vague order called Alpha Mega Nogius, requiring that he and his descendants find the difference between the very first and last spirit. While contemplating the meaning of this order, he mostly keeps to himself, going on monthly excursions to exorcise wraiths from the Tower of London. When unable to attend to his duties, Ruflius will often designate the mage Rocco Belphebon as his proxy lord. This brings us back to the Department of Policies, which is the unofficial 13th faculty. Prior to the 17th century, it was treated as one of the original 12, but no longer has that designation due to its alienating qualities. Mages in this department are less concerned with mysticism itself and more about preserving the first principle. In other words, they enforce the concealment of mystery within the clock tower. Beyond that, it is where mages go to learn about association politics and patent laws. In that endeavor, they have the means of tracking where and when a mage's patented formula is used around the globe. Even though it's an unofficial department, Policies has its own lord, Bartholomew Lorelei, who doubles as the clock tower's vice director. She's a prideful mage with an indescribable hatred toward vampires. Rather than tend to her own department, she often joins the Holy Church in hunting dead apostles. In that effort, she commands a brigade of elite mages as their wizard marshal. Through a combination of pedigree and ambition, she's raised her abilities to the level of true magic, with others calling her the Queen or Supreme Mage of the present era. She has more magic circuits than Lord Brishasan, who predates her by 2,000 years. In summation, the Clock Tower is an institution of 13 departments, official or otherwise. As 2 of those departments are handled by the same family, we have a total of 12 lords between them. Many of these lords are the present heir to a department's founding family, but others hold their position through an adoptive or elective process. Beyond teaching their own brand of magecraft, lords are just as much political entities within the Mages Association. Given the rivalry between mage families, it can be difficult to unite their decisions, let alone gather them in the same place. Grand roles, where the lords gather to decide important matters, are few and far between compared to the days of old. Whether you consider this internal strife valuable or not, it's not likely to change anytime soon. For our next lesson, I wish to elaborate on a topic I just mentioned: the concealment of mystery. Both why and how is it accomplished? I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters: Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Mystic Samurai 1983, Otaku Mom, Freebrick, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Crow Calum, Saul Soto, Matal Mataru, Winter's Edge, Sneer Cachette, Foxbox, Alzinga Fagan, Caitlin P, Sith Lord 906, Vladimirovna, The Taz 96, Kengo X77, and Alistair Bernadotte. Thank you all so much.